Alright, welcome back to another SegWeather video looking at your forecast for your Saturday, August 1st of 2026. We're going to go ahead and dive into what to expect for the start of the new month. In this update, starting with the radar, you can tell that we do have a lot going on in the Midwest towards the southeast as a low pressure system is bringing some shower and storm chances to this area, which hence why we do have this ongoing little comma. This is in conjunction to that system bringing some widespread shower and storm chances, and unfortunately, it could bring in that threat for some damaging winds, large hail, and even a couple tornadoes by this afternoon, especially in this little region. As we head towards then, more on this in just a little bit. Looking at our current watches and warnings, we do have a flood watch in place for much of Indiana. That's going to go throughout your day today into tomorrow morning, expecting rainfall to be quite excessive at times throughout that time frame. And also another little area in New Mexico, the southern part of the area underneath a flood watch today as well. And then the west coast underneath quite a lot right now. The lighter pinks represent where there is a red flag warning. So anywhere you see this little light pink area, this is where we do have those ongoing wildfires taking place. And the reason that's in place is due to the fact that we do expect strong winds to moving in to those areas. And with the hot, dry conditions taking place already, this is what's going to contribute to potential for wildfires. So if you, let's say, you light a cigarette in Washington, it can instantly lead to a fire. So if you're in Washington, Oregon, Montana, and Idaho today, I would strongly advise against any sort of burning outside, as it's quite dangerous for that. And you'll see why in a minute, as I'll show you the graphic real quick. But looking at the dark pink, excuse me, you see we also have this area in eastern Montana in the southwestern corner of the US. You can see it's underneath a light pink, darker pink that represents an area where we have extreme heat warnings that indicates values over 105 being possible with the heat. And then the oranges indicates areas where we do expect heat index values to be over 100 degrees. So quite a hot day for a lot of the West Coast. Even for southeastern Texas, a little area over here in southeastern parts of Florida, looking at that being possible with another flood watch there as well. But just a busy start to your Saturday for some of these areas. Looking at back at that fire risk, this is the fire outlook for today. Unfortunately, the West Coast underneath a rare high risk for fire potential today. Unfortunately, encompassing the same areas that have been dealing with the fires the last several days. Eastern Washington into extreme northern parts of Oregon. That's high risk for you guys. So if you're in this area, highly recommend evacuating as soon as possible, if not probably right now. The red area indicates probably, I would say, definitely advise extreme caution. Highly recommend leaving these areas as well. And then the orange is just the low end risk for potential spotty wildfires as well. But still looking pretty bad for the start of your weekend. And looking at the current situation right now, it's quite smoky across the west coast, especially with the reds and or purple circles that represents areas where the skies are quite hazy, quite smoky right now, and unfortunately, it's in the same exact areas that's been the last several days. Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, even the parts of Canada, they're dealing with it too, as this fire is slowly spreading as well. So, not a good situation for these areas at all. And looking at this evening, we do expect these wildfire smoke conditions to linger around, especially for Washington, Oregon, and even parts of Idaho into Montana, quite smoky for this region. But looking out towards the Midwest, looking at some of those hazier skies as well, even in the parts of the plains looking quite smoky and hazy at times throughout your day today. Even to the northern parts of Texas, you can see some of that haze spreading down here towards that area too. So if you're in Texas, even as far south as, let's say, Dallas, you'll see some of those smoky skies as well. Even parts of the southeast won't be safe as well with this ongoing throughout your day today. Now, looking at this afternoon to this evening of temperature wise, we do expect temperatures to be quite hot in the plains to deep south, 90s to 100s, especially here in Montana. Some 90s down here in eastern Texas to near 100. In the southwest corner of the country, the hot spot temperatures near 120 degrees for your afternoon today. Temperatures in the Midwest, though, a bit cooler due to that low pressure system moving through, which is going to keep a bit cooler temperatures in the 60s to 70s as it would just sit there for the time frame, and then temperatures in the 70s to 80s for the East Coast in advance of this system coming towards the east, temperatures in the 90s around the southeast corner of the US. But the West Coast, temperatures in the 60s today, so quite a cool day for them. Now, the next several days will show this cooler pattern over the Midwest coming to an end, as between now and Tuesday, we do expect the pattern to linger around, but by Tuesday into Wednesday, we do expect that low pressure system that will be probably lingering around in northeast to eventually dissipate, and as it does, we will start to see the ridge begin to slowly expand back to the east, not so much to the north, but more to the east, so impacting much of the deep south, looking at hot temperatures in this general region as we head for the first full week of August. Meanwhile, the north will be a little bit cooler, so looking at some cooler temperatures remaining in place for a lot of these northern states, such as North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, maybe even parts of Michigan as well, looking at a fairly, at least milder start to the month compared to all the heat we've been seeing lately as of right now. But looking down to our severe weather outlook for today, expecting up to a slight risk for severe weather in place from southeastern Indiana and stretching down towards Alabama. So a narrow area in place for your day today, expecting that to be the case. And looking at the threat, trader risk looks to be quite low, to a 2% risk for your day today. Looking at damaging wind threat, a bit more possible, looking up to about 15% risk for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts being possible, and especially in that yellow highlighted area. And then for hail risk, looking at that small threat mainly over the southwestern parts of New Mexico, so not as bad as all the other threats that we've mentioned. Now, looking at the excessive rainfall outlook, looking at a slight risk for the Midwest to the southeast, in conjunction to that same system in the Midwest, bringing a lot of that rainfall. So, if you're in these areas, I'll be on the lookout for some flooding rains being possible. And the same thing for New Mexico. This is going to be tied to that monsoon. Could see some of that moisture bring a bit of rainfall to these areas as well. Now we move on to the future cast. From today through tomorrow morning, expecting a rainy setup for the Midwest to Northeast, while we do have some shower and storm chances ongoing in New Mexico at that same exact time. A closer look at those storms in the Midwest and Northeast, though, we can see again how fast they develop. You will see them eventually congeal into potentially a couple lines of storms as we'll slowly move off towards the east. You can see, looking at it again, you see how fast those storms develop, becoming more widespread by this evening, and then by the overnight hours, pretty widespread as they move throughout Indiana. And look how these kind of sit over Indiana. That's where that flood threat's going to make a play, as unfortunately we do expect the rainfall to be quite heavy at times and produce maybe about a couple inches rainfall, if not more, by the time this is all said and done by tomorrow morning. But that is pretty much it for this update. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. And if you want to see more of this content, don't forget to subscribe to always get updated on whenever I post a video on this channel. Have a great day and stay weather aware.